And having seen with the synthesis of diazepam, we'll resume the remaining chemistry of benzodiazepines. Let us see the chemical structures of other benzodiazepines apart from diazepam and chlordiazepoxide. So what is the third candidate? That is oxazepam. So remember this is also coming under benzodiazepine, right? Write the structure of benzodiazepine first. Benzene and diazepine ring. Here one phenyl group. Here one chloro atom. Okay, so this is similar like our earlier system structures, right? So here you have double bond O. Here it is hydrogen itself. Nitrogen is not substituted. Here OH. So compare the structure with that of diazepam. Okay, in diazepam we had NHCH3 here instead of double bond O. Okay, and we have N oxide here. There was no hydroxyl group, but here we have carbonyl group instead of NHCH3 chlordiazepoxide. I'm comparing it with the chlordiazepoxide. Okay, and if you compare it with the diazepam, here you don't have CH3 group. Okay, you have carbonyl group at this position and the remaining all same. So if you remove N-methyl group from diazepam, okay, and add hydroxyl group at this place, that will be oxazepam. So you can, if you compare this with diazepam, you have to remove N-methyl group and put hydroxyl group after carbonyl group. If you want to compare it with chlordiazepoxide, N oxide is absent. Okay, N oxide is absent here and NHCH3 is absent here. Okay, so that is how you need to compare. So minimum basic to remember the basic ring, that is benzodiazepine. So let us see the next chemical structure, that is chlorazepate. Chlorazepate. So again it is coming under benzodiazepine. So draw the structure of benzodiazepine. Benzo, now diazepine, phenyl substituent here, chlorine is retained here. Okay, it is hydrogen only. Here you don't have carbonyl group. Here you will have carboxylate, that is carboxylic acid. Okay, so this is the structure of chlorazepate. It will have carboxylic acid, COOH. It is nothing but COOH, carboxylic acid. Is it clear? Then we'll move on to lorazepam. So lorazepam again, benzodiazepine derivative. So write benzene, chlorine is substituted here, diazepine ring, NH only. Fine. Here you have phenyl group. Here this phenyl group is also having chlorine atom. Okay, that is one observation. You have carbonyl group here and you have OH group. With what you can compare it with? You can compare it with oxazepam. It is looking very much similar to lorazepam, sorry, oxazepam. It is having extra chlorine here. That's it. Only difference between oxazepam and lorazepam is that this phenyl ring is also having chlorine atom. Now let us see the structure of lorazepam. Now we are done with lorazepam, so let's go on to alprazolam. So it is also a benzodiazepine derivative, right? So benzene ring, a chlorine atom is as such, a diazepine ring is there. You have a phenyl substituent here. Okay. So here you have other heterocyclic ring fused with the diazepine ring. That is this one. What is it? And it has a substituent CH3 here. So this is the structure of alprazolam. Okay, this is the structure of alprazolam having another heterocyclic ring fused here. It is a double bond. Okay, triazole. If you observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-membered ring with 3 nitrogens, 3 nitrogens, tri nitrogen. So aza, 5-membered ring, all triazole. Okay, triazole is fused to diazepine ring. Okay, so the nitrogen of diazepine is common with the triazole ring also. So that is the difference. So if you observe till diazepam, chlordiazepoxide, oxazepam, chlorazepate and lorazepam, all are differed in functional groups. But when it comes to alprazolam, it went one step ahead and having a heterocyclic ring, that is triazole fused with the diazepine ring. Okay, so we have to remember this difference. Okay, then we have the next drug, that is zolpidem. Zolpidem's structure will be somewhat different from that of benzodiazepines we saw till now. Zolpidem will have imidazopyridine. So this is a pyridine, right? This is a pyridine, it will have CH3 here. Instead of benzene, we have pyridine having CH3 instead of chlorine when we compare with the classical benzodiazepines. Okay, to this you have imidazole fused. Okay, imidazole. What is imidazole? 1,3 nitrogens, 2 nitrogens, 5-membered heterocyclic ring having 2 nitrogens at 1,3. So let us consider it is 1, 2, 3, third position. Okay, 5-membered ring. Fine. This is 5-membered ring having two nitrogens in it. So imidazole and pyridine are fused together. Zolpidem will have pyridine and imidazole. And this have a toluene group. Toluene is nothing but a phenyl group with one methyl substituent. Okay, so this is the structure, and we have one more substituent at this position, that is CH2 CO amine carbamide. So this is a carbamide, NH2, right? CONH2 is carbamide. Okay, but here two hydrogens are replaced with two methyl groups. Okay, so this is the final structure of zolpidem. Okay, it is having a imidazolopyridine, fused imidazolopyridine ring. Okay, having three substituents actually. One is methyl group at this position. We have toluene group at this position, and we have N dimethyl acetate group. Okay, or methyl carbamide group, dimethyl carbamide group. Okay, we can call it either. So this is the structure of zolpidem, which is somewhat differentiated from the other classical benzodiazepines. So if you see at the uses, okay, if you see at the uses, both chlordiazepam oxide and diazepam are used as a sedative and hypnotic, okay, and majorly in the management of myoclonic seizures. Myoclonic seizures is a clinical condition related to CNS convulsions, okay, used as chapter name sedative and hypnotic. Used as a sedative and hypnotic in myoclonic seizures, both diazepam and chlordiazepam oxide. Then coming to oxazepam, okay, it is used for the treatment of anxiety, tension, agitation, irritation or irritability, etc. If you observe, all these are mood dependent, right? Mood dependent things. So all these mood dependent things are related with CNS. So very simple. When you are agitated or confused, if you induce some sleep, will calmly sleep, and all those side effects will be evaded, right? So the mood disorders can be induced by inducing the sleep like calmness. Okay, so they can be used in the conditions like anxiety, tension, hesitation, irritation, etc. Then most of the sedative hypnotics will have the similar uses. Okay, if you see the uses for clorazepate, it is also used in the treatment of anxiety disorders. treatment of anxiety disorders and insomnia. What is insomnia? Sleeplessness, night. Yeah, very good. So many people will suffer from getting sleep in the night. Okay, that will be insomnia. Most of the day-to-day modern life includes using screens, that may be phone or laptop or any screens, TV, that is affecting their modern life, and it has become part of our life, and that is causing insomnia. So in such cases also chlorazepate can be used. And coming to lorazepam, okay, this is also used as a sedative and hypnotic. So when there is no particular use mentioned, you can simply mention that it is a sedative and hypnotic. So how it can be used as both? If it is given in low dose, it would act as sedative. If the dose is increased, it would act as hypnotic. Okay, and zolpidem, sorry, next is alprazolam, right? So it is very particular for treating anxiety. So very high potent anxiolytic. Very high potent anxiolytic. Okay, so it is very particular for treating anxiety related disorders. Now, if we see the use of zolpidem, it is used for the treatment of insomnia. Okay, so if you see on a whole average, if you observe, the users include actually CNS related disorders, maybe in myoclonic seizures for chlordiazepam oxide and diazepam. Okay, sedative and hypnotic in all cases. Okay, if you see the particularly, zolpidem will have treatment of insomnia, alprazolam will have anxiolytic actions. Okay, then oxazepam is also having mild sedative in case of anxiety, tension, agitation, and irritation, etc. Okay, so chlorazepate is also used for anxiety as well as insomnia. So these are the uses. Okay, next we have next category, that is barbiturates. Barbiturates are the derivatives of barbituric acid. Its chemical structure is very easy to remember. Please observe. Okay, so there is a carbon C double bond O, that is carbonyl group, and it is having NH attached this side, NH this side. It is looking similar to what? Urea. Okay, and at this position, if it is linked with carbonyl group and a carbon, again a carbonyl group having two substituents. Okay, this is the general structure of barbiturate. Okay, so what is it? NH, NH, C double bond O, C double bond O, C double bond O. So this is the general structure. Is it easy? Carbonyl group having two amino groups on either side, and you have further extension of carbonyl groups to the amines, then it is closed with one more carbon on the other end. So This is how you have to remember the basic structure of barbiturates. So let us see the first example, that is barbital sodium, right? Or barbitone sodium. Barbital or barbitone. So it is a salt of sodium. Okay. So what is there? How the structure is? You have two substituents. The structure is same. You have two ethyl substituents here. Please observe very carefully because it will build our structure activity relationship. You have two ethyl groups. If you number it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, according to me, this should come as 5. Okay, we'll see the numbering later. Okay. So this is the structure of barbitone sodium or barbital sodium. And we need to learn the synthesis for this particular compound. So we number in such a way that this position gets 5 because the priority group here are carbonyls are there, functional groups as well as amines are there. So the first priority we give to amine. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is how the numbering will be, or the other way. But we need to accommodate the numbers such that the priority functional groups gets their sum as least as possible. Okay. Then let's move on to the synthesis of barbitone. So here you need to use urea. What is urea? C double bond O, NH2, NH2. So this is urea. Remember the structure of urea. Okay, then you have diethyl malonic ester. I'll show you how it will look like. Here it is ethoxy C2H5 ethyl and O ethoxy, and it is further attached with a carbonyl group, and this carbonyl group is attached to another carbon. Okay, again a carbonyl group and ethoxy again C2H5. So if you observe our barbital structure, you can correlate with its retrosynthetic path. So this is diethyl, COO is an ester. Okay, malonic means you have two more ethyl groups to this carbon. So this is the structure of diethyl malonic ester. So what are the starting materials for the synthesis of barbitone sodium? Urea and diethyl malonic ester. So what happens? What happens? These two ethoxy groups are removed as ethanol. Okay. These two will form substituents. If you observe the final structure, they basically fuse together. I'll show you the structure. C double bond O, NH, NH. Because out of NH2, two hydrogens are removed and added to C2H5O. So C2H5OH is removed, ethanol. Fine. So if you observe here, continue the structure from here. So this part is removed, this part is retained. C double bond O, C double bond O, and this carbon have two ethyl groups. So C2H5, C2H5. So this is barbitone. This is the structure of barbitone. And if you add sodium to it, you will get sodium salt of barbitone, that is barbitone sodium or barbital sodium. So for that we'll add base, strong base, that is sodium hydroxide. So it will be sodium plus O minus, this O is the carbonyl groups O, the remaining structure is as it is. So this is sodium barbital or barbital sodium. So this is the synthesis of barbital sodium or barbitone sodium. So what is the use? See, it is a powerful hypnotic drug actually used in the treatment of epileptic seizures. Okay, so in epilepsy also we are using them as a potential candidate. So this is the synthesis of barbital sodium. Rest of the chemistry you will see in the next session. Okay.